Hey everyone, thanks again for joining Sweat Success Podcast. Today we're going to talk a little bit about pricing. And listen, if you're in that position where you're trying to figure out how you can get more revenue in your door per customer or more revenue per session without trying to placate to whatever the competition is doing because they're lowering prices and you feel like you got to lower your prices too. I was really surprised. I've had some conversations the past week, and this really comes from two customers that I had some conversations with about how they are pricing their business with their memberships and their personal training. And it was a huge surprise to me, kind of a shock actually, that they had no variation to really bring value to the table for the end consumer. One gym owner was pricing their memberships to the point where they had so many different options. It was actually confusing even to me. I didn't know what level of membership I should purchase if I was a consumer. It just caused confusion. And you never want to be in that position where you're creating confusion for your buyer, because a confused buyer is not going to buy anything at all. The other person had one option. Okay. And this is a personal training business owner. Had one option. They had one flat rate, was $100 a session. That was it. It didn't matter how many sessions you purchased. Didn't matter how many per package you purchased. It was one price. So I bring this to you because if you're in a position where you don't have the right pricing structure at hand, I think it's prudent for you at this point, if you're trying to grow your business, to really sit down. And if you have a chance to sit down or at least just conceptually think through this, you'll have the opportunity to kind of create a pricing structure today that's going to really live in the past, outperform any past revenue models that you've ever had, simply by providing what's called contrast effect to your consumers. Okay. So your customers, they come in the door and a lot of them already have this preconceived notion about how you're pricing your business, how you might price your business or your services based on what they've either experienced in the past. Okay. So they're already anchored in the idea that this is the expectation. So if you're anything less than that on the price, it's a deal. But if you're providing a service that's less than that and the price is less, you're cheap. So you have to be careful on how you do this, and you have to make sure that when you do this, you are always offering value. And that's where this comes in. So let's talk about personal training for a second, because this one was a huge shock to me that there was no variation in pricing. If you're a personal trainer, I want you to think about this for a second. What is it that you can bring to the table and offer your clients that cost you nothing? Okay. I want you just to, if you can write it down on a sheet of paper, what 3 things can you offer that cost you nothing extra? Okay. I can think of a few right now, and I'll just go ahead and give them to you. Number 1, you can offer them training programs that you provide to them. Okay. It's just time. And when you create these, you can have a slew of different training programs that you create. So you can create training programs for them on the days that they're not with you. Okay, that's one thing you can do. The other thing you can do is you can provide stretching or stretch therapy or PNF stretching at the end of every single session. Okay, that's a value. You can also provide additional nutritional guidance. That's a value. Okay, so those 3 things, and if you wanted to, you can throw in another one. You can give them the time commitment from you. Okay, it could take 15 minutes or 20 minutes to go to the grocery store and how to shop. They can learn how to shop with you, okay, once a month. It doesn't really cost you much of anything, okay? So I'm talking about, it's going to cost you time maybe on some of these things, but once you get them put together, it doesn't cost you any time at all, or any additional time or money at all. So those are 4 things. The other thing you probably do is a program for vacation programs you can provide to them while they're on vacation, and you can check in with them. So if they got that option, you could charge a little bit more for it, okay? Because you have these 4 or 5 other things valued at X that gives them the opportunity to work with you at another level, and you're pricing it out at a higher value. It could be $150 a session for those things versus the $100 a session. Now, we could get into tiered pricing, which I think is of immense value, where you price 1 to 5 sessions at a set price, call it $200, 6 to whatever at another set price. Okay. But if they get packages, they get a package of 20, that's a set price and it auto renews. That's one way to do it. And then they could also get another package of 20 that has all of this other value built into it. And maybe if you can work with some local retailers to give you some discounts or coupons for services of their business, that's another thing that you could give as a value. And now you're charging a little bit more for that whole package, okay? Because it has this contrast for a little bit more per session. Okay, instead of 100, maybe you're charging 120 or 150 per session. And now they have more value, significantly more value. And you're bringing more to the table. Now that's for personal training. And this is I'm just giving you a quick overview of how you could structure this. Okay, because you could structure it a lot of different ways. And I'm not saying my way is the best way, but I've done this a few times and it worked for me. Okay, making some adjustments and creating value, bringing in more revenue, it always worked for me. On the membership side, instead of providing so many memberships that it's confusing and trying to sit down and explain it to them, okay, come up with a simple pricing strategy. Okay, you could have silver, gold, and platinum. Real simple. Or select in premium. Okay, you could have those two options. And in your let's say you have a select package for your memberships, and your membership option is call it $50 a month. For $54 a month, you get the premium, and it gives you all of these other extra value add items. You can do the same thing with classes for class packaging on unlimited or limited. Okay. And I say this because a lot of times I also see gym owners doing the opposite of contrast effect. It's actually only a benefit to the gym and not the consumer. And it's this concept of month-to-month options versus a 12-month agreement. Okay. If they buy month to month, the rate is $50 a month. But if you get a 12-month option, it's only $40 a month. Okay. The benefit is that you're locking your customer in for a longer term. You don't really care about the $50 a month option. I mean, why not flip that on its head? Why not go $50 a month? You have 2 memberships. You have a $40 12-month commitment and a $50 or a $45 12-month commitment. And for $5 extra a month, you get all these other things, all these other services, okay, that cost you nothing. Now, keep in mind, it has to cost you nothing or close to nothing to get that extra $5 a month per customer. So I bring that to light because of the conversations that I've had recently with some gym owners and personal trainers who are owning their own studios, and they're trying to figure out their pricing, and they're competing the wrong way against the group across the street. The group across the street is price gouging, right? They're reducing their rates, not really offering any extra value. And the consumers who are coming in when they're making their buying decisions, they're looking at the gym across the street and you offer exactly the same thing and you're more costly. They're going to go to the gym across the street. Okay. Great example of this is Planet Fitness. Okay. Now they don't have group classes. They don't have towels. There's a lot of things that they don't have. But if you're comparing, essentially apples to apples, a gym that has equipment and another gym across the street that has equipment, Planet Fitness is $10 a month. And then the other gym across the street is $40 a month. So you have to figure out not only how you differentiate in the services that you provide or how you provide value to your customers, but you can't play the price game and you can't really go into business thinking that you're going to have this, slew or smorgasbord of options because you're just going to confuse your customers. So number one, try to come up and strategize a plan for your pricing using contrast effect. Okay. It's done a lot in several different businesses. I'll give you another example. The real estate industry. They show you a house that's, I'm just trying to give you examples so you kind of get your wheels turning a little bit on how you can implement this in your own business. In the real estate industry, they might show you two homes that are priced exactly the same as, or very closely to the same as the third home. And those first two homes, they need work. In your mind, you're like calculating the cost that you got to put into these two homes. You go into that third home and you really don't have to put much into it, like as far as work or, new stuff. And it's priced just a little bit higher. The value there, the perception is that that third home was the one that you want to buy. And it's also the one that they wanted to sell you. So it's the same principle that they use in real estate, they use in car sales. And I bring it to your attention because if you are in this position where you're trying to figure out your pricing, please take a moment, just sit down and list out the other things that you can use, that you can provide value for your customers. Because if you can provide immense value, your customers know what that value is, and just give it to them. Okay. That's all I have for today. Talking about contrast effect and how you can utilize that to your advantage. Looking forward to speaking with you, or I guess, doing this thing here, talking to you. And hopefully it's providing value. If it is, please share it with some others. Thanks again. Catch you guys on the flip side.